Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we try and get a real handle on those fascinating frontiers where technology and, well, humanity sort of intertwine. And today we're plunging into a concept that's not just evolving, it's fundamentally redefining how we engage with the digital world. It's called embodied interaction. So forget the traditional mouse and keyboard for a moment. Just put those aside in your mind. Imagine a world where you interact with technology not through those familiar clicks and taps, but through, the natural intuitive movements of your own body. What does that actually look like when your posture, your gestures, even those subtle shifts in weight become the language you speak to the digital realm? And maybe more importantly, how does this really profound shift change everything about how we design, use, and even perceive technology? Our mission today is a deep dive into this really cutting-edge approach within human-computer interaction, or HCI.
We'll explore its core concepts, unpack the foundational theory that's embodied cognition journey through some really compelling real-world applications, and consider the profound implications it holds for design and user experience. For those of you maybe immersed in HCI or design, this isn't just academic theory, it's kind of the blueprint for the next generation of interfaces. It opens up both incredible opportunities and, frankly, some critical challenges we absolutely need to think about. We've meticulously gathered a stack of insights from, the detailed theoretical stuff to really practical examples across a whole spectrum of technologies to give you a comprehensive shortcut to understanding this revolutionary field.
You've really hit on something fundamental there. What's truly fascinating about embodied interaction is that it's so much more than just like a new feature or some small improvement. It represents a fundamental paradigm shift, a whole new way of thinking about how we conceive of and build interfaces. It challenges the very definition of what an interface is, moving it from being a peripheral device, a keyboard, a mouse, something external to us, right to the very center of our own being. Our bodies themselves are becoming the primary means of digital engagement. We're shifting from being passive operators to active participants. And this entire monumental shift is really underpinned by a foundational theory known as embodied cognition, which basically posits this deep, inseparable connection between our minds and our physical experiences. We'll definitely delve into that theory. Because it's the why. It explains why these interactions can feel so incredibly natural. For anyone involved in HCI or design, understanding this isn't just about staying current, it's about actively shaping the future. It highlights amazing opportunities for creating more intuitive, human-centered experiences, but yeah, it also presents some critical challenges. Things around design principles, standardization, even ethical implications that really demand our proactive attention.
Okay, let's really unpack this then, starting right at the basics. What exactly is embodied interaction, at its core? We've hinted at it, but let's try and get a clear picture.
Fundamentally, it's a way we engage with digital systems that moves decisively beyond those traditional inputs, right? Like typing or clicking. Instead, embodied interaction leverages our body's natural language. It uses our gestures, those expressive movements of hands or arms, our posture, how we hold ourselves, and our continuous movements. Whether they're subtle or big movements, those become the primary way we communicate with technology.
So it's a fundamental departure then from those older models where we had to sort of mentally translate what we wanted to do into specific commands for a device.
Exactly. It essentially cuts out that middleman.
Yeah.
It makes the computer directly responsive to our physical self.
Okay, so it's bridging that gap between our physical world and the digital one.
That's a key distinction, yeah. It's about bridging that inherent gap using our body's own built-in language of movement and gesture. And this approach, just by its nature, significantly reduces what HCI folks call cognitive load.
Cognitive load, meaning like the mental effort.
Precisely. Instead of spending mental energy trying to remember, which button does what or how to navigate some complex menu, you're interacting instinctively. It feels utterly natural. You're not performing mental gymnastics to operate a tool. The tech is designed to understand you, the human body, directly.
Which frees up brain power, I guess, to focus on the actual task.
Exactly. It frees up those cognitive resources, letting you focus on the task or the experience itself, not the interface mechanics.
And the transformation this brings about sounds, well, pretty profound. It effectively turns your physical body into the primary interface. We're moving away from keyboards and mice.
Which can feel a bit clunky sometimes, can't they?
Right. Towards something more organic, more immediate. And the result, you get these truly immersive and highly engaging experiences where the technology feels like a natural, almost invisible extension of yourself.
Yeah, it makes interacting with digital systems feel more human, inherently intuitive. because you're tapping into actions and understandings you've used your entire life in the physical world. It's less like operating a machine.
And more like just doing, an extension of your own will.
That's a good way to put it.
So, okay, on a practical level, what does this all mean for us as users or for the designers listening? It means interactions become faster, more fluid, and ultimately they feel right. Is that fair?
Absolutely. And a core principle driving this is something called direct manipulation.
Direct manipulation.
Okay, think about it. Your body directly controls digital elements. It eliminates that mental middle layer we were just talking about. There's no longer that need to translate your intention into some abstract command. Your physical action is the command.
Creating that immediate cause and effect.
Exactly, which is really the cornerstone of effective user-centric design. It's immediate feedback.
It's interesting to think how different that is from, say, older interfaces.
Oh, definitely. If you go way back to the command line interface, interaction was purely text, totally abstract. Even with graphical user interfaces and the mouse, which was a huge leap, obviously there was still that layer of indirection. You move a cursor, which represents your hand, then you click.
Right, it's a translation step.
Direct manipulation, especially in its embodied form, just bypasses all that. Your physical action directly creates the digital outcome. A perfect example is reaching for something in VR. There's no complex button sequence, you just reach, like you would in the real world.
That immediacy.
Yeah.
It must create a stronger sense of being there, agency.
Absolutely. It fosters a much deeper sense of agency and presence, which is vital for truly immersive experiences.
And we experience this direct manipulation all the time, don't we? Even with our phones. Like when you swipe your finger across the screen to scroll, your hand movement directly controls what you see. There's that intuitive, almost visceral connection.
Exactly. It's become second nature.
Or stepping into VR, like you said.
Yeah.
Reaching out to grab virtual objects just as you would physically. This embodied approach lets the technology kind of disappear, doesn't it, into your natural behavior?
It does. It significantly reduces the mental effort needed. You're no longer thinking about how to use the tool. You're just doing the task.
The seamless integration.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right? So you can focus entirely on the experience, not the buttons.
Precisely. That's the power of it.
So how do our specific body actions, the nuances of our physical presence actually translate into digital commands? This is where it gets really fascinating, I think.
It is. It's all about the language of the body, but interpreted through some pretty sophisticated systems. Systems that recognize gestures, continuous movement, even subtle shifts in posture.
Okay, let's break down these different ways our bodies talk to tech, starting with gestures.
Right. Gestures are essentially specific, often quite distinct, actions that the technology is designed to interpret as commands. Think of them as predefined signals, like a vocabulary of physical actions that the interface understands.
A physical vocabulary. I like that. It lets us communicate intent without words or, fiddling with buttons.
Exactly.
And touch screens are probably the most common example, right? Swiping on your phone to look through photos.
Perfect example. Your finger's movement across the glass is captured by sensors, usually capacitive sensors, reacting to your finger's electrical properties. That physical action gets translated instantly into a digital command. Scroll, zoom, select, whatever it might be.
But it's not just about physically touching things anymore, is it? What about air gestures?
Right, where you might point at a smart home device to turn on the lights or wave your hand to skip a song playing on a speaker. In those cases, sophisticated computer vision systems, often using cameras or infrared sensors, detect your hand movements in 3D space. They interpret those movements as commands without any physical contact at all.
The cool thing about using gestures, from a design perspective, seems to be that interactions become so intuitive and fast.
Yeah.
Your actions literally speak louder than words. Control feels immediate.
Absolutely. And beyond those specific, often deliberate gestures, we have the continuous language of our body, movement and posture. This isn't about discrete commands like, do this now, but more about the ongoing state and subtle shifts of our physical form providing a constant stream of input.
Like a background conversation your body's always having with the technology.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. A continuous dialogue.
So like tilting your phone just slightly, maybe just a few degrees to scroll down a long web page.
Exactly. Your device, packed with tiny accelerometers and gyroscopes, senses that natural motion, that continuous adjustment, and responds instantly. The content scrolls in sync with your lean.
Or, in a VR game, shifting your weight forward, leaning side to side, maybe ducking, that directly controls your avatar.
Precisely. It creates an incredibly immersive experience where your body is the controller. It's constantly providing this nuanced input.
It feels less like playing a game and more like actually being in that digital world.
That's the goal. And the mechanisms making this possible are quite sophisticated. Wearables like smartwatches, for instance, are packed with these microelectromechanical systems. MEMS, accelerometers measure linear acceleration and gravity. Gyroscopes measure rotation. Together they track movement, orientation, even subtle tremors with high precision.
And things like depth sensors, like on some gaming consoles or the newer phones.
Right. Things like time-of-flight cameras. They can map 3D space, identifying body parts and their positions with remarkable accuracy, even in tricky lighting. This continuous stream of data allows interfaces to adapt and provide seamless, intuitive responses. It creates this powerful, continuous feedback loop.
The tech is always kind of tuned into your physical state.
Exactly. But this does raise a really important question for designers, especially those aiming for universal systems. How can we design these interactions to be universally understood, almost like a common language across different devices and systems, especially when you consider the huge diversity in human movement, cultural differences in how gestures are interpreted, and all the different physical contexts people use tech in?
That's a huge challenge. It needs a deep understanding of well, everything from physiology to culture, doesn't it?
It really does. It requires a flexible approach to design, thinking globally from the start.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the why. Why do these embodied interactions feel so natural, so intuitive, almost second nature sometimes? It comes down to something called embodied cognition, right? This theory seems pretty key to understanding it all.
You've put your finger right on it. Embodied cognition is the foundation. And what's truly fascinating here is that it's not just some abstract philosophical concept. It's a scientific framework that really challenges centuries of traditional thinking about the mind.
How so? What's the traditional view it challenges?
Well, the traditional sort of Cartesian view separates mind and body quite distinctly. The mind is the thinking thing. The body is the physical machine it operates. Embodied cognition proposes something radically different. That our thinking, our cognitive processes, aren't separate abstract functions happening only in the brain. Instead, our thoughts, our understanding, our very intelligence actually emerge from and are deeply intertwined with our bodily interactions with the world.
So mind and body aren't separate at all. They're constantly influencing each other.
Exactly. Intrinsically linked. Our physical actions literally shape how we think and understand.
Wow. That's a powerful idea. So instead of the mind being like a CPU sending commands, it's more like a loop.
A constant dynamic feedback loop?
Yep.
Yes. Think about it. A situation in your environment, let's say you see a steep hill you need to walk up. That immediately triggers physical reactions. Maybe your breathing changes slightly, muscles tense in anticipation. These physical reactions, in turn, shape your feelings and thoughts about climbing that hill. This looks tough. I can do this. Which then influence your behavior, like how fast you decide to walk.
It's all connected. Not just mind telling body what to do.
Precisely. Our physical experience is constantly shaping our understanding, our learning, our decision-making. And this explains why interfaces that break that natural connection, that force us to think in an abstract, unembodied way, often feel clunky or unintuitive.
Because they're fighting against how we're naturally wired.
In a sense, yes. They're not leveraging our innate physical intelligence. So this theory provides an incredibly powerful framework for understanding why interfaces that do leverage our natural gestures and movements feel so intuitive. They build on how we already learn and think through our bodies, through direct physical experience.
So when we design technology with this in mind, we're not forcing users to learn some new artificial language.
Exactly. We're tapping into their existing innate ways of interacting with the physical world. It makes the technology feel like an extension of their natural capabilities, rather than some separate tool they have to consciously master.
Designing for the human body, not just for eyeballs and fingertips clicking a mouse.
Beautifully put. That's the essence of it, designing for the whole human.
So, okay, how does this theory of embodied cognition actually play out in action? How does it make technology so intuitive and engaging in practice?
Well, it means that interfaces designed to build directly on those natural body movements and physical actions just feel right. They click. They align seamlessly with our embodied way of thinking and learning, which, as we've said, is inherently physical and experiential.
So it's not just about being efficient, it's about a deeper level of connection.
That's it. The technology isn't just reacting to an abstract command, it's engaging with the body's own understanding of space, force, movement. And this engagement, where physical action directly maps to a digital outcome, leads to a deeper sense of connection, better understanding, even faster learning.
Like how a kid learns by actually playing with blocks, not just reading about them.
Exactly that analogy. It's learning through doing, through physical manipulation.
Let's take VR gaming again. Something like Beat Saber, which so many people know. You're not just sitting there pressing buttons. You are physically moving your whole body, swinging your arms to slice these virtual blocks, dodging obstacles by actually ducking and leaning.
That embodied approach makes the game incredibly intuitive and deeply engaging because you're learning through your body's natural responses. It activates muscle memory, spatial awareness, physical coordination in a way that button mashing just can't.
It leads to that flow state people talk about, right?
Yeah,
Where you're completely absorbed.
precisely. The physical exertion tied directly to the in-game progress, the immediate feedback. It creates a powerful loop. You feel a direct translation of your intent into physical action and then into virtual results.
Okay, that makes sense. And this leads us to another key concept. Embodied affordances. What exactly are those?
Embodied affordances are essentially those natural cues within an interface, could be physical, could be digital, that inherently guide our interactions. They make the technology feel like a seamless extension of ourselves because they leverage our innate understanding of how objects in the real world afford certain actions.
Like how a handle just looks like it should be grasped.
Yeah.
Or a flat surface invites sliding something across it.
Exactly. In HCI, we design digital elements, buttons, sliders, virtual objects to possess similar inviting qualities, making their use intuitive. We don't need a manual. The design itself suggests the action.
And we see these everywhere once you start looking, don't we? On touchscreens, like we said, the flat, responsive surface itself affords swiping.
Right. The screen responds directly to your touch, creating that immediate intuitive connection. The tactile sensation plus the visual feedback solidifies it. You just do it.
And in VR, it's even more profound, right? Your whole body becomes the interface.
Absolutely. Wearing a headset, maybe using motion controllers or even full body tracking, you can literally walk through virtual spaces, reach out, grasp virtual objects. You can mimic real-world actions like throwing a ball or climbing a ladder.
And the design of those virtual objects is crucial. A virtual doorknob needs to look like it affords turning.
Critically important. If it's designed well, it should look and maybe even feel with haptics like it invites grasping and turning, just like a real one. This makes the digital environment feel tangible, believable, precisely because your body is directly engaged, constantly sending and receiving feedback.
So it's those visual cues, maybe tactile cues too. Buttons that look pressable, handles that invite grasping, virtual levers that seem to demand a pull. That's the magic.
That's the magic of embodied affordances, yes. These natural indicators make the technology itself fade into the background. You stop thinking about the interface and just focus on the task, the experience.
So it really comes down to designing tech that understands how we, as humans, are just fundamentally wired to learn and interact with the world around us. Designing for us in our most natural embodied state.
Precisely. Making technology feel less like a tool you operate and more like an extension of your own body and capabilities.
And by extending our bodies into technology this way, through these natural interactions, we get that seamless integration.
We do. The digital world feels less like a separate place and more like a responsive extension of ourselves. It fundamentally enhances our capabilities and experiences. Understanding embodied cognition isn't just nice to have for designers. It's absolutely crucial for creating truly intuitive, powerful, and ultimately more human user experiences.
Okay, fantastic. Now that we've got a handle on the theory and the core principles, let's explore where embodied interaction really shines out there in the real world. We're surrounded by examples, some so common we barely even notice how revolutionary they once were. Let's start with something nearly everyone has. Smartphones and tablets. These were actually early pioneers, weren't they?
They absolutely were. What seems so commonplace now was, when it first arrived, a massive leap forward in embracing direct natural interaction. Think back before widespread touchscreens, interacting with portable devices often meant fiddly styluses, tiny physical buttons, complex D-pads.
Oh yeah, I remember those. Lots of mental translation needed.
Exactly. The shift to using your fingers directly on a graphical interface that responded immediately was a monumental leap in usability and intuition.
Just the naturalness of using our fingers and hands directly instead of through some intermediary tool, that was key. And their multi-touch capabilities. We just take them for granted now, don't we? Pinching to zoom on a map, swiping to scroll.
Completely taken for granted. But but there's virtually no mental translation needed. Your physical action directly manipulates the digital content, mirroring how you'd handle physical photos or papers.
And the innovation's still going.
Right.
You mentioned things like the Samsung S25 potentially having ultrasonic sensors for 3D gestures.
Right, that's the kind of next step we're seeing. Using high-frequency sound waves to detect fingers hovering above the screen or air gestures made nearby, this allows for interactions without any physical contact at all.
Taking touch beyond the surface. That's interesting, kind of anticipating our intent.
Exactly. It highlights this ongoing evolution. What started as simple 2D touch is moving towards sensing proximity, depth, nuances of movement without contact. For designers, the challenge then becomes making these no-touch gestures discoverable, intuitive, making them feel natural rather than like secret codes you have to learn.
Okay. So if touchscreens were the pioneers, virtual reality VR is taking embodied interaction to a whole new level, isn't it? Here, it's not just interacting with a screen. It's about being inside a digital experience, your whole self transported.
VR is arguably the ultimate expression of embodied interaction today. Its fundamental goal is complete immersion, where your physical presence is translated into the digital realm, blurring those lines between real and virtual. It demands that deep connection between body and simulation.
And that connection comes from things like full body tracking technology.
Yes, sophisticated tracking. This allows your virtual avatar to perfectly mimic your real-world movements in real time. Every gesture, every turn of the head, every step forward, it's captured by sensors, internal or external, and translated precisely to your avatar.
Which often means you don't even need traditional controllers anymore, making it feel supernatural and fun.
Exactly. It often eliminates the need for handheld controllers, making interactions feel incredibly seamless. It's not abstract button presses. It's your physical self inhabiting that digital space.
We mentioned Beat Saber again. That's such a prime example, isn't it? Players using full-body movements to slice blocks.
It's a fantastic example. You don't just play the game, you become part of it. It's high-energy physical activity combined with deep immersion. This direct physical interaction creates an unparalleled sense of presence. You genuinely feel inside the virtual world.
That kinesthetic feedback, the rhythm, the visual response, it's a powerful combination.
It really is. Traditional gaming struggles to replicate that feeling.
And it gets even deeper, right, with things like haptic feedback suits.
Yes, pushing the boundaries further. Wearable tech that provides physical sensations, vibrations, pressure, maybe even temperature changes.
So you could feel the impact of a virtual punch. Or the rumble of an explosion.
Precisely. These suits can simulate those kinds of physical sensations. Blending the digital and physical worlds so seamlessly, the distinction almost vanishes.
It's not just seeing the virtual world, it's being in it, moving, feeling, impacting it with your whole body. Wild.
It creates memories that feel remarkably real, and beyond just engagement, it encourages significant physical activity, which is a really welcome shift from typically sedentary screen time.
Yeah, good point. Huge potential there for fitness, rehab.
Absolutely. For designers, it opens up vast possibilities for experiences that are both entertaining and physically beneficial. It transforms digital interaction into a dynamic, full-body engagement.
Okay, so moving from the thrills of VR to something more everyday but just as impactful. Health, wearables, fitness trackers, smartwatches. They've become incredibly sophisticated at using our body's language, haven't they?
They really have. These devices are constantly monitoring our movements, our physiology, turning our bodies into this continuous source of biometric data and interaction. And they're not just passive sensors, they're designed to give us actionable, often embodied feedback.
Right. Inside these sleek little things, you've got motion sensors tracking posture, movement patterns.
Accelerometers detecting motion and gravity, gyros measuring rotation, magnetometers for direction.
They know when you're sitting too long, walking briskly, maybe even doing specific exercises, right? Or how well you slept.
Exactly, providing real-time data. And one of the most intuitive feedback methods is haptics.
Those gentle vibrations on your wrist.
Yeah, when you hit your step goal, or maybe the device senses you've been slouching and nudges you to correct your posture, it's a subtle, non-intrusive reminder. Doesn't demand your visual attention, doesn't interrupt your flow.
And they're getting smarter, offering more personalized health coaching.
Increasingly so. Some devices use advanced sensors, maybe monitoring sweat composition for hydration, or using bioimpedance to estimate body composition. This data often gets combined with info from other apps or devices to give you a more holistic picture.
It's like a constant, gentle dialogue between your body and the technology.
It fundamentally changes how we perceive and manage our own health.
Yeah.
It makes it proactive.
And the impact is significant, especially in areas like physical therapy, where getting people to actually do their exercises is tough.
Huge impact there. Research has shown that gamified movement tracking built into wearables can significantly improve adherence. It transforms often boring exercises into engaging games, progress tracking, challenges, rewards.
Like unlocking levels or getting virtual badges.
Exactly. Patients are far more motivated. It leverages embodied interaction to make health management effective and, importantly, enjoyable.
I think I read a study, maybe University of California, that found embodied feedback led to like 15% better weight loss results because it boosts body awareness and motivation.
That sounds right. It makes the connection between action and outcome much clearer and more motivating.
And it extends to safety features too, right? Like fall detection in smartwatches.
Critical safety features, yes. Those posture sensors continuously monitor body orientation. They can detect the sudden, forceful movements typical of a fall. The watch can then give a haptic alert, a vibration, giving the wearer a chance to say, "I'm okay," before it automatically contacts emergency services or caregivers.
That offers incredible peace of mind.
Immense peace of mind. And similarly, some devices monitor sleep posture. They use sensors to detect if you're on your back, side, or stomach. They might even give subtle haptic nudges to encourage better positions for breathing or back pain.
Wow. It's not just data collection, it's an intelligent feedback loop helping us make healthier choices.
Exactly, turning everyday actions into powerful tools for well-being and safety.
Okay, so if VR takes you away to a new world, augmented reality, AR, does something different. It brings the digital world to you, blending it with your physical surroundings.
AR is incredibly powerful because it enhances our existing reality rather than replacing it entirely. It overlays digital info visuals, audio, maybe haptics directly onto our real-world view. It creates this dynamic, interactive environment without pulling us away. That contextual relevance is key.
And education is a great example, like that Google Expeditions app.
A fantastic application. Imagine students using phones or AR glasses to explore ancient Rome right there in their classroom or school hallway. They see virtual overlays of buildings and artifacts precisely mapped onto the real scene around them, maybe with historical data popping up.
And they can interact using gestures, pointing at a virtual coliseum for more info or pinching in the air to zoom.
Exactly. Interacting with these virtual elements naturally within their physical space. This active embodied approach isn't just cool. Studies show it significantly enhances learning retention, maybe by 50% or more in some cases.
Because it makes it more engaging, immersive, leverages spatial memory.
All of the above. It turns abstract concepts into tangible, interactive experiences.
So the seamless blend makes technology feel like a natural extension of your surroundings. Digital stuff enhances, not replaces, the physical world.
Precisely. And this is powerful not just for learning, but for practical fields too. Architecture, manufacturing, medicine. Imagine a surgeon seeing AR overlays guiding their instruments, or a technician seeing digital instructions floating over the machine they're fixing.
Information appears exactly when and where it's most useful.
That contextual relevance is the power. Making our lives and jobs more efficient, informed, intuitive, without making us stare constantly at a separate screen.
Okay, now imagine controlling your whole home environment with just a wave of your hand. Or maybe a nod. That's not sci-fi anymore, is it? Gesture-controlled smart homes are here.
It's becoming increasingly common, yeah. It's a significant step beyond just voice commands or fiddling with apps on your phone. It allows for a more subtle, immediate, and often more private form of control that feels incredibly natural.
So how does it work? What's detecting these gestures?
It uses various sensors, often a combination cameras for computer vision, infrared sensors for depth mapping, sometimes even radar for really precise hand and body tracking. These systems detect specific movements and translate them into commands for your lights, thermostat, music, appliances.
You might see multi-touch on smart home displays too, right? Swiping or pinching.
Yes, that's common too. But the real magic is often the contact-free stuff. Behind the scenes, you've got microcontrollers processing real-time sensor data, maybe from accelerometers, interpreting gestures, and using wireless protocols like Wi-Fi or Zigbee to send commands.
So you could adjust the thermostat with a hand sweep, mute the TV with a specific hand signal, without touching anything or saying a word.
Exactly. That real-time contact-free interaction makes it seamless.
The benefits seem clear. Natural, intuitive control frees your hands up. Technology becomes an extension of your body and your living space.
It blends effortlessly.
All right, and what happens when we layer artificial intelligence onto all of this, combining embodied interaction with AI?
Ah, now that's where things get really interesting. That's where embodied interaction becomes not just intuitive, but genuinely intelligent and adaptive. Personalized.
So the AI learns us, our habits, our preferences.
Precisely. AI systems, through continuous machine learning, can personalize and tailor interactions specifically to you, the individual user. It moves from a one-size-fits-all interface to a truly bespoke experience.
How does that work? Like with gestures?
Through adaptive gesture recognition, the AI learns your specific way of moving, your preferred shortcuts. Say you consistently use a quick, subtle swipe instead of a big, full hand wave for a certain action. The AI detects that pattern, learns it, and adapts. So future interactions become faster and even more intuitive for you. It tunes itself to your personal body language.
We saw a diagram about embodied AI in the source materials, right? Showing how AI agents process inputs.
Yes, that illustrated it well. The AI processes rich perceptual inputs, not just your movements, but your location, the environment around you, maybe even your gaze direction. This lets the AI build a dynamic world model, understanding your context and intentions in real time. And then it can predict and achieve goals, maybe adjusting a smart home setting proactively, or offering a personalized suggestion based on what it thinks you're trying to do.
So it's anticipatory. It tries to figure out what you need before you even ask.
That's the goal. And this personalization goes beyond gestures. It can affect the UI itself. Imagine an app or a smart display where the colors, the layout, even how interactive elements behave, adjust based on your habits, your usage patterns, maybe even your inferred mood.
Like if you always relax in one corner of the room, the lighting controls there might automatically simplify or shift to warmer tones.
Exactly that kind of thing. The prediction, based on industry trends, is that by 2025 or so, AI-driven personalization will make embodied interactions feel truly effortless and deeply personal.
So the tech understands you specifically. It feels designed just for you.
Yeah, blurring the lines between user and system, making technology feel like an extension of your own evolving intelligence and habits.
Wow. Okay, so looking ahead now, what are the future frontiers? Where is embodied interaction heading next? It seems like it's moving beyond just sight and touch, towards engaging more senses, multisensory integration.
That's a critical direction, yes. Enriching the digital experience by engaging more of our human senses simultaneously. Our brains naturally combine sight, sound, touch, even smell and taste in the real world. Technology is striving to mirror that richness for more believable interactions.
So we're talking haptics, sound, and visuals all working together.
In perfect concert, yes. Haptics, as we've touched on, provides that tactile feedback feeling, vibrations, textures, pressure. Sound adds crucial audio cues, footsteps echoing, the click of a virtual switch, ambient noise that grounds you in the environment. And advanced visuals create those immersive scenes. But the real power is when they're perfectly synchronized.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine reaching out in VR and not just seeing, but feeling the rough texture of virtual tree bark under your fingertips, while also hearing the gentle rustle of leaves overhead. Or maybe walking across different virtual terrains, and each step triggers different haptic vibrations in your feet, or vest, a sharp bump for cobblestones, a soft give for grass, all perfectly timed with the visuals and sounds.
That sounds incredibly real.
That's the aim. This multisensory approach is already appearing in advanced VR gear, haptic vests, specialized peripherals. As it gets better, the line between digital and physical will blur even further, making interactions feel deeply real and intuitive.
And what about that line itself, between real and digital? You mentioned hybrid realities earlier.
Right. This is where augmented reality takes a sophisticated leap forward. It's not just static overlays anymore. It's about making digital elements feel like an integral, dynamic, responsive part of our physical surroundings, reacting to us and the environment in real time.
So with AR glasses, maybe virtual screens appear next to real buildings, offering navigation or info.
Exactly. Or shopping information popping up as you glance at products on a real shelf, reviews, ingredients, price comparisons. But it goes beyond just visuals. Maybe virtual objects casting realistic shadows in your physical room, or digital characters intelligently navigating around your real furniture.
So the technology blends in, enhances the physical world, doesn't replace it.
Precisely. It provides information and interaction exactly where and when you need it, making your physical environment smarter, more responsive, more personalized. without feeling intrusive.
It's information becoming an ambient, interactive layer of our physical existence.
A profound shift from screen-centric interaction, yes.
Okay, pushing the boundaries even further. What about controlling tech with our thoughts?
Hmm.
Neuro-embodied interfaces. Is that real?
It's real in the sense that it's being actively researched, yes, but it's definitely in its very early stages, mostly confined to labs right now. The core idea is ultimate seamless interaction, using brain signals, often combined with body tracking, to translate intention directly into action, bypassing physical input entirely.
Wow. Direct bridge from brain to digital command. How?
Using technologies that detect and interpret brain activity. Non-invasive methods like EEG, placing sensors on the scalp to pick up electrical signals. Or, potentially more invasive but much more precise, methods like neural implants. When combined with sophisticated AI to decode these signals, and maybe body tracking for context, these interfaces could theoretically allow someone to think about moving a robotic arm, and it moves. Or navigate a virtual world just with mental commands.
The potential implications are staggering, especially for accessibility for people with severe motor impairments.
Absolutely mind-boggling potential there, giving people unprecedented control over their environment and communication tools. Of course, huge challenges remain signal accuracy, noise, safety, ethics, but the promise of that direct, instantaneous interaction is incredibly compelling.
It really pushes the boundary of what an interface even is, moving it towards consciousness itself.
It certainly challenges our definitions and raises deep questions about intention, interpretation, and the human-machine boundary. A fascinating frontier.
Now, bringing it back from the far future, perhaps one of the most profound immediate impacts of embodied interaction is in accessibility. Making tech work better for everyone, especially aging populations or those with varying abilities.
This is an absolutely critical area for human-centered design. Technology must serve to empower and include, not alienate or marginalize. Embodied interaction holds immense promise here.
Definitely. Designing interfaces that cater specifically to the needs of older adults, maybe using larger, simpler, more natural gestures, like those gesture-based smart homes we talked about. Instead of fiddly buttons or complex voice commands which should be tough with dexterity or cognitive changes, just waving a hand to turn on lights, adjust the thermostat.
Exactly. Reducing physical strain, lowering cognitive load, making tech feel natural and supportive, helping maintain autonomy.
Imagine an older person gesturing to see their medication schedule on a smart fridge screen displayed nice and large.
Or getting health alerts on their watch that they dismiss with a simple wrist flick, not fumbling with tiny buttons.
Even tablet interfaces designed for simple, large gestures for video calls or entertainment. These become tools for connection, independence.
It's more than just convenience. It actively promotes independence, which is crucial for quality of life. And it gives huge peace of mind to caregivers, too, knowing their loved ones have reliable, easy-to-use tools.
It really ensures technology remains accessible and enjoyable, fostering connection, reducing isolation. A powerful example of designing with empathy.
It truly is. Making technology inclusive is a core responsibility.
And finally, for the creatives listening, artists, musicians, performers, embodied interaction is opening up entirely new ways to create, isn't it? New canvases, new instruments.
It's truly revolutionizing how artists interact with their medium, making their entire body an instrument of creation and performance. It connects the physical act to the digital outcome so deeply.
Like composing music through dance. How does that work?
Imagine a dancer covered in tiny sensors, inertial measurement units on limbs, maybe pressure sensors on the floor, depth cameras tracking their whole body. Their gestures, their posture, even the energy level of their movements get translated directly into musical elements, melody, rhythm, volume, effects, creating complex music in real time through pure physical expression.
So the music emerges from the dance. It's not pre-recorded.
Exactly. The body is the instrument.
And for live performance, too.
Yeah.
Performers controlling lighting, soundscapes, projections with their movements.
Yes, their movements, tracked by sensors, don't just drive an avatar. They shape the entire performance environment dynamically, changing lights, triggering sounds, altering visual projections in real time based on every nuance of their physical presence. The performer becomes part of the medium itself.
Blurring the lines between performer, instrument, and environment.
Deeply interconnected. Our sources had a diagram showing how physical effort and sensory motor prediction link to music interaction, creating really rewarding creative experiences.
And it's not just music or dance, right? Visual arts, too.
Absolutely. Gestures, controlling digital brushes in VR, sculpting virtual clay with your hands, painting in 3D space with broad arm movements, manipulating visual effects with a flick of the wrist. It allows artists to use their full range of physical expression, not just fine motor control of a mouse. It makes the digital canvas feel as responsive as a physical one, a holistic, embodied creative process.
Okay, but as with any powerful tech that gets this close to us, this integrated with our bodies, we have to talk about the challenges, the ethical considerations. And with embodied interaction, that brings us straight to privacy, doesn't it?
It does. And this is, without doubt, one of the biggest and most complex challenges we face with this technology. The very intimacy that makes it so powerful for user experience also means it inherently generates vast amounts of highly personal, potentially very sensitive data about us.
Often in ways that are much less obvious than, say, typing something into a search engine.
Far less obvious. When tech is constantly tracking every gesture, posture, subtle movement, maybe even physiological responses like heart rate or sweat, we're generating this immense stream of biometric and behavioral data about our physical selves.
Captured often without us fully realizing the sheer scope or detail of what's being collected.
Exactly. And this constant, pervasive monitoring raises really serious and important privacy concerns that demand our attention as designers, users, and as a society. It's moving beyond what we type or click into data about who we are physically.
And the potential for misuse seems high.
Consider your fitness tracker. It's got step counts, sure, but potentially also really sensitive health data, precise movement patterns, sleep quality, heart rate variability. Could that data be aggregated and shared, maybe without your full understanding, with health insurers, affecting your premiums, or with employers?
Or VR games tracking your movements, your physical reactions where you look.
Exactly. That incredibly rich data could be used for hyper-targeted advertising, political profiling, creating detailed psychological profiles you're unaware of. These overlaps between cybersecurity risks, data breaches, and privacy violations create really vulnerable points. Intensely personal information linked to our physical identity could be misused or exploited.
It feels different from, say, online shopping data collection. We're kind of used to that, maybe grudgingly. But this is data from our bodies.
It feels much more invasive, doesn't it? The passive nature of much of this collection, sensors just constantly gathering data, makes it particularly tricky.
So what's the answer? How do we handle this?
We absolutely need robust ethical frameworks. Responsible data handling has to be built in from the very start, not bolted on later. Privacy by design principles are essential.
Meaning what, specifically?
Meaning obtaining clear, unambiguous, truly informed consent for each specific type of data collected and exactly how it will be used. No burying it in fine print. It means minimizing data collection, only gathering what's strictly necessary for the function, using techniques like processing data on the device whenever possible instead of sending everything to the cloud. Strong encryption, obviously.
And transparency, knowing what's being collected and having control.
Complete transparency about data usage, storage, protection, and giving users clear, easy-to-understand controls over their own biometric and behavioral information. It raises that fundamental question. How do we balance the amazing benefits of personalized, intuitive interaction with the fundamental right to privacy over your most personal data, our physical selves?
It requires proactive ethical design, an ongoing conversation involving everyone.
Absolutely. Technologists, regulators, ethicists, and crucially, users themselves.
Okay. We have covered an incredible amount of ground today on the deep dive. Wow. We've journeyed from that core theory of embodied cognition, how our body shapes our mind, right through to all these fascinating real-world applications. We've seen how embodied interaction is truly revolutionizing HCI by putting the human body right at the center of tech design, creating experiences that feel more human-centric, intuitive, engaging, from swipes on touchscreens to VR immersion, wearables helping our health, AR blending worlds, smart homes responding to gestures. We've seen tech become a natural extension of ourselves.
And the future promises even more. More immersive, more engaging, more natural experiences where technology genuinely enhances rather than isolates our physical selves. But that evolution really hinges on sticking to those human-centered design principles, making sure that as tech gets closer to our bodies, it stays focused on empowering us, enriching our lives, fostering connection.
Real-world examples are already here, transforming daily life.
They are. Gesture-controlled homes, adaptive AI. They show it's happening now. And as it develops further, it will fundamentally reshape how we interact with the digital world, creating a more connected, intuitive, and physically engaged future for HCI. It really pushes the boundaries of what it means to be human in a digital age.
So, as you go about your day, maybe interacting with your phone, your watch, other devices, just pause for a moment. Think about that tilt, that swipe, that movement in a game. How much of your body's own language is already being used to talk to the digital world, maybe without you even realizing it? And what new ways might you discover or maybe even designed to make your body the ultimate interface, connecting your physical self more deeply, more seamlessly with the digital realm? The possibilities for all of us, users and designers alike, are truly boundless. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.